Everyone mocks the poor waitress for her out-of-wedlock pregnancy, but they don't know the father is the most ruthless mafia boss in the city, and soon they'll be begging for forgiveness on their knees. Quick thing, sweethearts. Tap that like button for me and subscribe. We're gathering all the romance lovers and drama enthusiasts right here. Together, we're creating the biggest, boldest community on YouTube. The crystal chandelier above table 12 cast expensive shadows across the white tablecloth, but Lily Chen wasn't admiring the ambiance. Her hand trembled slightly as she balanced the tray, 5 months pregnant and exhausted from a double shift. The 4 women at the table hadn't noticed her yet, too busy dissecting someone's failed marriage like vultures picking at roadkill. Another mimosa, the blonde one snapped without looking up. Victoria Ashford. Old money, new attitude, all terrible. Lily approached, professional smile locked in place despite the stabbing pain in her lower back. That's when she heard it. Did you see that waitress? The redhead, Catherine Sterling, whispered just loud enough. Pregnant and no ring. How utterly trashy. Victoria's laugh was cold as November rain. Probably doesn't even know who the father is. These people multiply like rabbits. The mimosa glass slipped. Not much, just a splash of champagne and orange juice across Victoria's Chanel jacket, but enough. You clumsy little... Victoria shot up, her face turning an unflattering shade of scarlet. Do you have any idea how much this costs? More than you make in a year, I'd wager. I'm so sorry, I'll get... Lily started, but Catherine cut her off. Sorry? Sorry doesn't pay for dry cleaning, does it? She stood too, her pearl necklace catching the light. What's your name? I want to speak to your manager. Better yet, I want you fired. The other 2 women, Sarah Bennett and Michelle Crawford, exchanged gleeful glances. Blood in the water, and they were circling. Please, I need this job, Lily heard herself say, hating how small her voice sounded. My husband, he... Oh, there's a husband? Victoria's eyebrows shot up. Even better. Got yourself knocked up and trapped some poor fool. Classic. Lily's hands balled into fists at her sides. She wanted to tell them that Brian was the fool, but not for the reasons they thought. That he'd been cheating for months. That he'd laughed when she said she was pregnant. Told her to handle it, because a baby would cramp his style. But she said nothing. Because she needed this job. Because these women held all the cards. Or so they thought. Michelle leaned back in her chair, studying Lily with the kind of cruel interest a scientist might show a lab rat. I'm curious. Who is the father? Some line cook? A bartender? That's none of your... Lily started. She's getting defensive, Sarah cooed. Hit a nerve, did we? The restaurant manager appeared, summoned by Victoria's imperious wave. Marcus was a good man, but he had a mortgage. 3 kids. He couldn't afford to lose the Ashford party's business. Mrs. Ashford, I apologize profusely for... Fire her, Victoria said simply. Now, I won't dine in an establishment that employs such incompetent help. Lily's world tilted. This couldn't be happening. Not now. Not when she'd finally saved almost enough to leave Brian. Not when she was this close to... The front door opened. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Dominic Castellano walked in like he owned the place. Which, funny thing about that, he did. Owned this restaurant. Owned half the city. Owned the kind of power that made Victoria's old money look like pocket change. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than Victoria's car. His dark eyes swept the room, cataloging everything, missing nothing. The scar running through his left eyebrow gave him a dangerous edge that his expensive clothes couldn't quite civilize. Those eyes found Lily, lingered on her pregnant belly. Something flickered across his face. Too quick to read, too dangerous to ignore. Problem here? His voice was quiet, controlled, the kind of quiet that preceded storms. Victoria, oblivious to the shift in power dynamics, laughed. Actually, yes, this pregnant little... Careful. One word. Soft as silk, sharp as razor wire. The thing about Dominic Castellano was this. He didn't need to raise his voice to make grown men wet themselves. Right now, watching Victoria Ashford's face cycle through confusion, irritation, and the first flickers of unease, Lily remembered exactly why she'd fallen into bed with him 7 months ago. Power. The man wore it like cologne. Excuse me? Victoria's voice had that imperious tone rich women use when they think their money makes them invincible. Honey, it doesn't. Not in this city, not with this man. Dominic moved closer to their table. His two shadows, because men like him always have shadows, positioned themselves near the entrance, casual, inevitable as gravity. "You were saying something," Dominic said, his gaze finally leaving Lily to settle on Victoria. "About this woman, my employee." "Finish your thought." The air between them could have powered a small city, or started a fire. Probably both. Catherine Sterling, marginally more observant than her friend, touched Victoria's arm. "Vic, maybe we should—" "I will not be intimidated in a public restaurant," Victoria announced, standing straighter. "This waitress spilled a drink on my jacket. A Chanel jacket. She should be fired for incompetence." Incompetence. Dominic rolled the word around like he was tasting wine. Interesting word choice. He turned to Marcus, who'd gone pale as fresh snow. "How long has Lily worked here?" 3 years, Mr. Castellano. Never a complaint." "Perfect record until 4 entitled women decided to amuse themselves by tormenting a pregnant woman?" Dominic's smile didn't reach his eyes. Never did, really. "That about sum it up?" Sarah Bennett, proving she had more survival instinct than her friends, started gathering her purse. "We should go. This is clearly a misunderstanding." "Sit down." 2 words, not a request. Sarah sat so fast her chair scraped the marble floor. Dominic circled table 12 like a shark around a life raft. "Mrs. Ashford, Mrs. Sterling, Mrs. Bennett, Mrs. Crawford, I know who you are. Your husbands, your homes, your dirty little secrets." He paused behind Victoria's chair. "That Bentley outside? Registered to your husband, parked in a no-parking zone. I'd hate for something to happen to it." "Are you threatening me?" Victoria's voice had lost some of its steel. "Threatening?" Dominic laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "No, I'm educating you. This restaurant? Mine. The building your husband's firm occupies? Mine. The country club where you spend your afternoons? The board president owes me favors you couldn't imagine." Lily watched Victoria's face cycle through emotions like a slot machine. This was bad. This was so bad. She hadn't wanted this. Hadn't wanted him to— "The baby," Catherine said suddenly, her eyes widening as she looked between Lily and Dominic. "Oh my God. The baby is— mine." Dominic's voice cut through the restaurant like a blade. "The baby is mine." The silence that followed could have smothered small animals. Lily's knees went weak. He'd just claimed it. Claimed her child. In front of witnesses. In front of— "That's impossible," Victoria stammered. "She's married. Her husband—" "Her husband," Dominic said, his voice dropping to something dangerous and cold, "is Brian Matthews, works at Preston and Associates, has a gambling problem he thinks nobody knows about. Owes money to people who make me look like a kindergarten teacher." He moved to stand beside Lily, close enough that she could smell his cologne, cedar and something darker, close enough that his presence felt like a shield. "Her husband is also screwing his secretary. Has been for 8 months. The baby isn't his." Lily's face burned. This wasn't how she'd wanted anyone to find out. This wasn't— Dominic's hand found the small of her back. Possessive. Protective. "The baby is mine," he repeated, his eyes on the 4 women, "which makes Lily under my protection. Anyone who disrespects her disrespects me. We clear?" Now I've seen powerful men make declarations before. Usually, they're all bark and Italian leather. But Dominic Castellano? That man was a loaded gun with the safety off, and everyone in that restaurant knew it. Michelle Crawford, smartest of the bunch, which wasn't saying much, slowly pushed her chair back. "Mr. Castellano, we didn't know. We would never have— but you did." He turned to face all 4 women, and if looks could kill, the coroner would be working overtime. "You saw a pregnant woman trying to do her job. You decided she was beneath you. Fair game for your entertainment." Victoria's Chanel jacket suddenly seemed less important than it had 5 minutes ago. Funny how that works. "We apologize," Catherine managed, her voice barely above a whisper. "We were out of line." "You think?" Dominic's laugh had no humor in it. "You have 2 choices right now. One involves you leaving quietly and never coming back. The other involves me making a phone call that ends with your husbands explaining to their bosses why their biggest account suddenly dried up." Sarah's mascara started running. Actual tears. The kind that happen when you realize you've poked a bear and the bear has teeth and a very long memory. Please, Victoria said, and there it was, that word she'd refused to give Lily. We made a mistake. We'll leave. Not yet. Dominic gestured to Lily. First, you apologize, to her, on your knees. The restaurant had gone silent. Every waiter, every diner, every person in that space was watching this play out like the world's most uncomfortable theater performance. You can't be serious, Victoria breathed. Do I look like I'm joking? Dominic's expression could have been carved from marble. My woman, my child, you disrespected them. You're going to make it right. Lily found her voice. Dominic, you don't have to. Yes, I do. He looked at her then, and something in his eyes made her throat tight. Nobody talks to you like that. Not anymore. Catherine went down first, knees hitting the expensive marble floor with a dull thud. I'm sorry, she said, looking up at Lily. I was cruel. Inexcusable. I'm truly sorry. Sarah followed, then Michelle, their apologies tumbling over each other. Desperate, sincere in the way people are when consequences finally catch up with their actions. Victoria held out longest. Pride's a hell of a drug, but eventually, when Dominic pulled out his phone and started dialing, she crumbled. Down on her knees, her perfect blonde hair falling forward as she bowed her head. I'm sorry. The words sounded like they were being dragged out of her with pliers. I was wrong. I judged you unfairly. Her voice cracked. Please forgive me. Lily looked down at 4 of the city's most powerful women, kneeling at her feet, and felt nothing like victory. Just exhaustion and fear. Because this moment, this very public declaration, changed everything. Get up, she said quietly. Just go. They scrambled up like the floor was on fire, gathering purses and dignity in equal measure. Victoria paused at the door, looking back at Dominic with something between hatred and terror. This isn't over, she said. Oh, sweetheart. Dominic's smile was all teeth. It absolutely is. They left. The door closed. The restaurant gradually resumed its normal sounds, clinking silverware, muted conversations, the hiss of the kitchen. Lily turned to Dominic. What did you just do? Protected what's mine. He said it simply, like it was obvious, like upending her entire life in front of half of high society was just another Tuesday. I didn't ask for your protection. No. But you need it. His hand moved to her stomach, gentle, possessive. He needs it. How do you know it's a he? Something flickered across his face. I don't, but I'm hoping. The employee break room smelled like burnt coffee and broken dreams. Lily sat on the sagging couch, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea she wasn't drinking, while Dominic stood by the door like a very expensive, very dangerous security system. You can't just... She started, then stopped. Where did you even begin with a man who'd just orchestrated the humiliation of 4 society wives? This is going to cause problems. Brian! Dominic's voice dripped contempt. Your husband, the one who told you to get rid of our baby, that Brian? How did you know he said that? I know everything about Brian Matthews. He moved closer, and the small room suddenly felt smaller. I know he cheated on you with Rebecca Chen. Ironically, no relation to you. I know he bet 20 grand on college basketball last month. Lost. I know he hits you when he's drunk. Lily's hand moved instinctively to her ribs, where a yellow bruise was finally fading. That was once. He was upset about. Once is enough. Dominic's eyes had gone cold. Flat. Men who hit women have 2 options. Learn or disappear. Brian strikes me as a slow learner. A knock on the door interrupted whatever Lily might have said. Marcus poked his head in, his expression apologetic and terrified in equal measure. Mr. Castellano, there are reporters outside. The Ashford party called them. They're asking about... He glanced at Lily. About the incident. Of course they had. Because Victoria Ashford didn't just lose. She retaliated. Money might not have bought her immunity from Dominic, but it could buy her narrative control. Dominic pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. Handled. Marcus, give Lily the rest of the week off. Paid. Actually, he looked at Lily. Give her a promotion. Assistant manager. Triple her current salary. I don't want... Lily started. Not asking. He turned back to Marcus. Do it. Marcus nodded and disappeared, probably grateful to escape before things got weirder. Dominic crouched in front of Lily, putting them at eye level. Up close, she could see the tiny scar on his jaw, The one she'd traced with her fingers 7 months ago when they were two different people in a hotel room that felt like another lifetime. "Listen to me carefully," he said. "Those women out there? They're going to spin this. Make me the villain. Make you the mistress who trapped the mob boss. They're going to dig into your life, your marriage, everything." "I know." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Your husband is going to find out. About us. About the baby. About all of it. I know that too. And he's going to hurt you." Not a question. A certainty. Lily's hand moved to her stomach. "So what do I do?" Dominic stood, pulled something from his jacket pocket. A key, small, silver, attached to an address tag. "You go to this apartment. It's secure. Safe. My men will be outside, but they won't bother you. You stay there until I handle Brian." "Handle him how?" His smile was nothing pleasant. "Do you really want to know?" Honestly, she didn't. She'd spent 7 months trying to forget what Dominic Castellano did for a living, how he'd built his empire on fear and favors, how that scar on his eyebrow came from a rival who'd disappeared the following week. But she'd also spent 7 months married to a man who made her feel small, worthless, disposable. She took the key. The apartment was in the Diamond District, 19th floor, with windows that overlooked the city like a promise or a threat, depending on your perspective. Lily stood at those windows now, watching traffic move below like blood cells through arteries, and wondered how her life had become a crime drama. Behind her, the space was all modern lines and cold elegance. Leather furniture, abstract art that probably cost more than her car, a kitchen with appliances she'd need an instruction manual to operate. The kind of place that screamed money but whispered loneliness. Her phone had been buzzing for an hour. 17 missed calls from Brian. 12 texts that devolved from confusion to anger to threats. She'd stopped reading after, "You better answer me right now, you..." The words didn't matter. They never really had. A knock at the door made her jump. 3 quick raps, then 2 slow ones. The pattern Dominic had told her meant safety. She checked the peephole anyway, saw a woman in her early 30s, dark hair pulled back, dressed in black like she was either going to a funeral or committing a felony. "I'm Rosa," the woman said when Lily opened the door. "Mr. Castellano sent me. I'm here to make sure you're comfortable, protected." "You mean you're here to watch me?" Rosa's smile was sharp. "That too. But mostly the first thing. Boss's orders." She swept into the apartment carrying bags from Bergdorf Goodman, the kind of bags Lily had only ever seen in magazine ads. Maternity clothes. Real ones, not those sad tent things you've been wearing. Also, vitamins, prenatal supplements, and, she pulled out a smaller bag, chocolate, because pregnant women need chocolate. It's science. Despite everything, Lily laughed. "Did Dominic tell you to bring chocolate?" "Honey, Dominic Castellano doesn't know chocolate exists beyond it being something he can use to smuggle diamonds. This was all me." Rosa started unpacking, efficient and professional. "I've worked for him 5 years, security detail mostly, but I'm also a trained medic. I can cook, not well, but edibly, and I once killed a man with a bread knife." That last part was delivered with such casual cheerfulness that Lily wasn't sure if it was a joke or a resume highlight. "So what happens now?" Lily asked, sinking onto the leather couch that probably cost more than a semester of college. "Now? You rest. You eat something that isn't vending machine garbage. You let your body remember what it feels like to not be in survival mode." Rosa paused, her expression softening. "And you try not to think about whatever Dom is doing to your husband right now. Is he going to kill him?" "Probably not." Rosa said it like she was discussing weather patterns. "Dom's practical. Dead husbands attract attention. Scared husbands, those are useful." Lily's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a number she didn't recognize. She almost didn't answer, but something made her swipe to accept. "You took something that belongs to me." Brian's voice, but different, tighter, afraid. "I didn't take anything that was yours." "The hell you didn't. You're my wife. That means..." A new voice cut in. Male. Cold as December. "That means she's under your responsibility, which you failed. That means she's now under mine. Who the hell is this? Your worst nightmare, if you don't listen carefully. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to file for divorce. Quietly. You're going to sign papers giving up all parental rights to the child. You're not going to contest anything. And if I don't? Then that gambling debt you have, the one with Sergei Volkov, The Russian who likes to use power tools on people who owe him money? That debt becomes public knowledge, along with photographs of you and Rebecca in your office, and information about that weekend in Atlantic City with your secretary and enough cocaine to get you 20 years in federal prison. The silence on the other end of the phone stretched like taffy. Lily could picture Brian's face, that particular shade of rage red he got when things didn't go his way. But underneath the rage, fear. Finally. "You're bluffing," Brian said, but his voice had lost its edge. "Am I?" Dominic's voice was almost bored. "Test me, please. I could use the entertainment." "Lily." Brian's tone changed, became wheedling, pathetic. "Baby, this is crazy. Whatever he's told you, whatever he's promised, I'm your husband. We took vows." Lily closed her eyes. "You told me to get rid of our baby. You hit me. You've been cheating on me for months. I was stressed. Work has been— Lily, please. You can't just—" "She can." Dominic again. "She did. And here's the beautiful part, Brian. You're going to let her. Because if you don't, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man you are. Your boss, your mother, that country club you're so desperate to join." A sound like choking came through the phone. "Papers will arrive at your office tomorrow," Dominic continued. "Sign them, or don't. Your choice. But understand, if you choose wrong, if you go anywhere near Lily, if you even think about making this difficult, I won't just ruin your life, I'll erase it." The call ended. Lily sat there, phone in hand, feeling like she was watching her life from outside her body. This wasn't how things were supposed to go. There was supposed to be couples therapy or mediation, or at least a conversation that didn't involve mob bosses and blackmail. But then again, when had anything in her life gone according to plan? Rosa handed her a glass of water. "Drink. You're pale." "I think I'm going to be sick." "Toilet's down the hall. I'll hold your hair." Lily made it to the bathroom just in time. Rosa was true to her word, holding back Lily's hair while she emptied her stomach, then helping her to the sink where she rinsed her mouth with water that tasted like copper and regret. "First trimester?" Rosa asked. "5th month. Stress makes it worse." "Yeah, well, having your life implode tends to be stressful." Rosa guided her back to the couch, settled a blanket around her shoulders. "For what it's worth, you made the right call. Brian Matthews is a walking red flag factory." "And Dominic isn't?" Rosa's smile was complicated. "Dom's a red flag too, but he's honest about it. And he protects what's his." "I'm not his." "Honey, you're carrying his baby. In his world, that makes you more his than a wedding ring ever could." Lily's hand moved to her stomach, feeling the subtle swell that would soon become impossible to hide. Inside their son, she believed Dominic somehow, that it was a boy, moved slightly, a flutter like butterfly wings. "What's he like?" she asked. "Really like? Not the mob boss version. The person." Rosa considered this, her expression thoughtful. "He's loyal. Once you're in his circle, he'd burn the world down for you. He's smart. Scary smart. He reads philosophy books and listens to opera. He takes care of his people, pays for his driver's kids' college, made sure his housekeeper's mother got the best cancer treatment money could buy. But he's also ruthless. He doesn't forgive. He doesn't forget. Cross him once, you're done. And love?" Rosa shook her head. "I don't think Dom knows what that looks like. Loyalty, protection, possession, those he understands. But actual love? The healthy kind? I've never seen it. So why do you work for him?" "Because in a world full of people who pretend to be good while doing terrible things, Dom's honest about being terrible while doing some good things. At least you know where you stand." The door opened without a knock. Dominic walked in, his jacket gone, his white shirt sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms that had no business being that distracting. He looked tired, dangerous, and something else. Something that made Lily's pulse quicken despite everything. "It's done," he said. "Brian will sign, if he knows what's good for him. And if he doesn't?" Dominic's smile was sharp enough to cut. "Then he'll learn the hard way that some lessons are permanent." 3 days in the Diamond District apartment, and Lily was starting to understand why caged birds sang. It was either that or go quietly insane. The view was spectacular. The amenities were top tier, and the loneliness was crushing enough to make a prison cell look cozy by comparison. Rosa came and went, bringing food, conversation, and updates delivered with the emotional range of a weather forecast. Brian signed the papers. Dom's lawyers are processing everything. Your soon-to-be ex-husband is currently drinking himself stupid at McGinty's bar. Should I feel bad about that? Lily asked, staring at her reflection in the floor-to-ceiling windows. 5 months pregnant, living in a mobster's apartment, her entire life reduced to whatever fit in 2 suitcases. The girl from Iowa who'd come to the city with dreams of art school would have been horrified. Honey, feeling bad for Brian Matthews is like feeling bad for a mosquito you swatted. Sure, it was alive, but it was also trying to suck your blood. Rosa handed her a smoothie, something green and allegedly nutritious. Drink. Baby needs vitamins. The baby, their baby, Dominic's baby. The reality of it hit her at strange moments, like now, holding a kale smoothie in an apartment that probably cost more per month than she'd made in a year. What kind of life was she bringing a child into? The door opened. Speak of the devil, and he appears wearing Tom Ford. Dominic walked in carrying a briefcase and an expression that suggested someone had recently made a very poor life choice. He set the briefcase on the marble counter with the kind of controlled precision that meant he was either very calm or absolutely furious. We have a problem, he said. Rosa immediately straightened. What kind of problem? The Ashford kind. He pulled out his phone, showed them a screenshot. It was a gossip blog, one of those trashy sites that fed on scandal like sharks on chum. The headline made Lily's stomach drop. Mob boss Dominic Castellano's secret baby mama. Married waitress leaves, husband for crime lord. Below it, a photo. Her and Dominic, taken through the restaurant window 3 days ago. His hand on her back, her pregnant belly visible. The image was grainy but damning. Victoria Ashford gave an exclusive interview. Dominic continued, his voice flat. Claims you seduced me to get money, that you're a gold digger who got pregnant on purpose, that I threatened her and her friends when she tried to expose the truth. That's not... Lily started, but her voice died. What was the point? The truth didn't matter. The narrative did, and Victoria Ashford had always been excellent at controlling narratives. There's more. Dominic scrolled. Your husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, gave his own interview. Different publication, he's playing the devastated victim, says you cheated on him, got pregnant by another man, and I'm using my influence to steal his wife. Rosa let out a low whistle. That's bold, considering we have enough dirt on Brian to bury him 6 feet under. He knows that. Dominic's eyes met Lily's, which means someone's backing him, paying him, enough money to make the risk worth it. Who would? But Lily already knew. Victoria. And her friends, they pooled resources, hired Brian a lawyer, a good one. They're contesting the divorce, claiming I coerced you. They've filed complaints with the police, alleging harassment and intimidation. The walls felt like they were closing in. This wasn't just gossip anymore. This was warfare. What do we do? Lily asked, hating how small her voice sounded. Dominic moved closer, his hand cupping her face with surprising gentleness. We fight back. But I need to know something first. Are you with me? Really with me? Because once we start this, there's no going back. Your name will be linked to mine. My enemies become your enemies. My life becomes your life. Lily thought about the alternative. Going back to Brian, who'd already sold her out for cash. Trying to raise this baby alone, while Victoria and her circle destroyed her reputation piece by piece. Spending the rest of her life looking over her shoulder. Or staying with a man who was dangerous, possessive, and absolutely terrifying, but who'd also protected her when no one else would. Who'd claimed their child publicly when it would have been easier to deny everything. Who looked at her like she was something precious instead of something disposable. Smart girl. Stupid decision. But she made it anyway. I'm with you, she said. His kiss was fierce, claiming, a promise and a threat wrapped in one. When he pulled back, his eyes had that cold calculation she'd seen in the restaurant. The look that meant someone was about to have a very bad day. Good, he said, because things are about to get interesting. And by interesting, I mean bloody. Turned out, bloody was not a metaphor. Lily learned this exactly 18 hours later when Rosa burst into the apartment at 2 a.m, her shirt splattered with what was definitely not ketchup. We need to move, now. Rosa was already grabbing bags, throwing clothes into them with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. Brian's dead. The words took a moment to penetrate. Dead. Brian. Her husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, the man she'd married 2 years ago in a courthouse ceremony that felt more like signing a lease than pledging eternal love. Dead. What happened? Lily heard herself ask, her voice strange and distant. Officially? Drunk driving accident? Wrapped his car around a telephone pole on Madison Avenue. Rosa paused, meeting Lily's eyes. Unofficially? Someone cut his brake lines. Made sure he'd crash at exactly the right spot where cameras couldn't see. Very professional. Very permanent. Dominic. Not a question. Dom's in Chicago. Has been for the last 24 hours. 50 witnesses. Airtight alibi. Rosa zipped the bag. Which means someone else wanted Brian dead. And they wanted it to look like Dom did it. The implications hit like a freight train. This wasn't about Brian. It was never about Brian. He was a pawn, moved around a board by players who saw human lives as acceptable losses. Victoria, Lily breathed. Or her friends, or their husbands who didn't appreciate the publicity, or the Russians that Brian owed money to, who saw an opportunity to settle a debt and frame a rival. Rosa grabbed Lily's arm, not gently. Point is, someone just turned you into a widow. And in about 3 hours, when the police connect the dots, you're going to be a very interesting person to them. But I didn't. Doesn't matter what you did or didn't do. You're the motive. The pregnant mistress whose lover conveniently eliminated her husband right after a very public scandal. The DA would kill for this case. It's got everything. Sex, money, power, murder. Lily's hands moved to her stomach, where their son was sleeping peacefully, unaware that his mother's life was currently imploding. So what do I do? You disappear. Dom's already making arrangements. Private plane to the Cayman house. You stay there until this blows over. And if it doesn't blow over? Rosa's expression was grim. Then you learn to like beaches. The penthouse door opened. Dominic walked in, and despite Rosa's assurance that he was in Chicago, he was very much here. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair was messed up, and his eyes were the coldest things Lily had ever seen. Change of plans, he said. We're not running. We're not hiding. We're ending this. Dom, if she stays, the cops will... Rosa started. The cops will get a very detailed file explaining exactly who killed Brian Matthews and why. Complete with recordings, financial transactions, and testimony from 3 witnesses who saw Victoria Ashford's personal driver tampering with Brian's car. Lily's head spun. Victoria killed him? Victoria paid someone to kill him. Probably thought she was being clever. Frame me, eliminate a loose end, and get rid of the woman who humiliated her. 3 birds, 1 brake line. Dominic moved to the window, looking out at the city like a general surveying a battlefield. But she made a mistake. She hired one of my people, someone who's been on my payroll for 3 years, who recorded everything and sent it straight to me. So Victoria goes to prison, and we're... What? Free and clear? Lily wanted to believe it, desperately. Not quite. Dominic turned, and his expression made her stomach clench. Victoria didn't act alone. Catherine Sterling provided the money. Sarah Bennett provided the alibi. Michelle Crawford drove the getaway car. All 4 of them are guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. Jesus, Rosa muttered. But here's the thing about rich white women in this city. They don't go to prison. Their lawyers are too good. Their connections too deep. Best case scenario? They get house arrest and probation while you spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, waiting for the next attempt. So, what do you suggest? Lily asked, though part of her didn't want to know. Dominic's smile was sharp as broken glass. I suggest we give them a choice. Disappear quietly, leave the country, transfer their assets, and never come back. Or refuse, and have every crime they've ever committed exposed to the public. Tax evasion, insurance fraud, Catherine Sterling's doctor shopping for prescription pills, Sarah Bennett's affair with her husband's business partner. Blackmail, Lily said flatly. Justice, Dominic corrected. Brian's dead. I can't change that. But I can make sure the people responsible pay for it, and I can make sure you and our son are safe. The meeting took place in a location straight out of a gangster movie. Abandoned warehouse, single light bulb, the whole cliché 9 yards. Lily almost laughed when she saw it, except nothing about this situation was funny. Four women who'd ordered a murder were about to be offered a deal by a man who'd probably ordered dozens. The moral high ground was pretty much non-existent all around. Victoria Ashford arrived first, her Chanel suit replaced by something cheaper. Prison orange would have clashed with her complexion, and she knew it. Her lawyer, a shark in Armani named Gerald Rothstein, positioned himself between her and Dominic like that would somehow help. Catherine, Sarah, and Michelle filtered in next, each with their own legal representation. 8 lawyers, 4 murderers, and 1 mob boss. This was either going to end very well or very badly, and Lily wasn't taking bets. Dominic stood at the center of it all, casual as Sunday brunch. Lily remained in the shadows, Rosa beside her. Protection, witness, friend. Take your pick. Ladies. Dominic's voice echoed in the empty space. Thank you for coming. I'll keep this brief because I know you have very expensive legal counsel billing by the hour. We have nothing to say without immunity guarantees, Rothstein announced, like he thought he had leverage here. Adorable. Gerald, may I call you Gerald? Dominic didn't wait for permission. You're going to shut up and let your client speak for herself, because right now, the only thing keeping these 4 women out of federal prison is my goodwill. And buddy, my goodwill is running real thin. He pulled out a tablet, tapped the screen. Voices filled the warehouse, a conversation between Victoria and a man Lily didn't recognize. The content was damning. Payment arrangements, timeline, target specifications, everything needed for a conspiracy charge. That's illegally obtained, Rothstein sputtered. Inadmissible in court. You're right, Dominic smiled. Which is why I won't be giving it to the police. I'll be giving it to the media, to your clients' husbands, to the IRS, to every regulatory body that oversees your clients' various business interests. Catherine Sterling's lawyer, a woman named Patricia Chen who looked like she could eat glass and ask for seconds, leaned forward. What do you want? Finally, someone asking the right questions. Dominic circled them slowly, predator assessing prey. Here's what's going to happen. You 4 are going to liquidate your assets. Not all of them, I'm not unreasonable, but a significant portion. 50% should do it. That's robbery, Sarah Bennett gasped. No, honey, robbery is what you tried to do to Lily. This is restitution. He stopped in front of Victoria. $20 million. Split 4 ways, $5 million each. Transferred to an offshore account I'll provide. Consider it the price of your freedom. And if we refuse? Victoria's voice was steady, but her hands trembled. If we call your bluff, then your husband learns about your affair with his business partner. Your daughter learns about the abortion you had last year that you told her was a spa weekend. And the world learns that you orchestrated a murder to protect your reputation. Dominic's voice was soft, deadly. Choose wisely. Michelle Crawford, who'd been silent until now, spoke up. The money isn't the real punishment, is it? Dominic turned to her, something like respect in his eyes. Smart. No, the money is just to make sure you remember. The real punishment is this. You're done in this city. You'll leave. All of you. Different cities, different states. You'll stay away from Lily, from me, from anyone associated with us. Break that rule, and the recordings go public. You're exiling us. Catherine's laugh was bitter. From our homes, our lives, our families. You planned a murder in a parking lot like you were ordering takeout. You killed a man, a shitty man granted, but still a man, because he was inconvenient. You don't get to keep your lives. You get to keep your freedom. Be grateful I'm that generous. The thing about revenge is this. It's supposed to feel satisfying, cathartic, like justice finally catching up with the villains. But watching 4 women sign away their lives while their lawyers tried and failed to find loopholes, Lily felt nothing like satisfaction. Just exhaustion and a growing sense that she'd entered a world where exits didn't exist. It's done, Dominic said 3 hours later, back in the Diamond District apartment. The contracts were signed, the transfers were processing, 4 families were having very difficult conversations. You're safe now. Am I? Lily stood at the window again, her default position lately. Or have I just traded one cage for another? That's not fair. Isn't it? She turned to face him, this man who'd upended her entire existence. You made me disappear my husband. You blackmailed 4 women into exile. You control where I live, Who I see, how I spend my days? That's not safety, Dominic. That's possession. His jaw tightened. I protected you. Our son. What did you expect me to do? Let Victoria put you in prison? Let Brian's death destroy your life? I expected you to ask me what I wanted, to treat me like a partner, not property. The words came out louder than she'd intended, sharp with months of suppressed frustration. You claimed this baby in a restaurant full of people without discussing it with me. You moved me into this apartment without asking if I wanted to leave my home. You're making decisions about my life like I'm not even here. Silence fell between them, thick as fog. Dominic's expression cycled through anger, confusion, and something that might have been hurt if he was capable of that emotion. I'm trying to keep you alive, he said finally, voice low. I know, and I'm grateful, truly. Lily moved closer, one hand on her stomach where their son was currently practicing kickboxing. But gratitude isn't love, protection isn't partnership, and I need to know, when you look at me, what do you see? A responsibility? An obligation? Or an actual person? I see. He stopped, ran a hand through his hair in a gesture so unlike his usual controlled demeanor that it startled her. I see the woman who told me she was pregnant 8 months ago and didn't ask for a single thing, who kept working double shifts while her piece of shit husband gambled away their money, who stood in that restaurant and took abuse from women who weren't worth her time, who looked me in the eye and said she was with me, even knowing what that meant. That's not an answer to my question. I see someone I'd burn the world for. His voice was rough, raw. Someone who makes me want to be. Not better, because I'm too far gone for that, but different. Someone who makes me think maybe there's more to life than power and control, and making sure everyone fears me enough to stay in line. Lily's throat tightened. Dominic? But I don't know how to do this. He gestured between them. The relationship thing, the partnership thing. I know how to protect, how to provide, how to eliminate threats, but actually asking what you want, treating you like an equal instead of something precious to guard, I don't have those skills. So learn them. What if I can't? What if this... He touched her face, gentle despite the violence she knew those hands were capable of. What if this is the best version of me? The one who loves you? Yes, I love you, but doesn't know how to show it without controlling everything around you? The confession hung in the air like smoke. 3 words she'd never expected to hear from a man who built his empire on fear. 3 words that changed nothing and everything simultaneously. Then we have a problem, Lily said quietly. Because I can't raise our son in a gilded cage. I can't teach him that love means ownership. And I can't spend the rest of my life waiting for you to decide I'm worth the effort of change. So what are you saying? I'm saying I need space, time, a chance to figure out who I am outside of being Brian's wife or your whatever I am to you. She pulled the apartment key from her pocket, held it out. I'm saying I need to leave. Rosa found her in a motel off Highway 9, the kind of place where they didn't ask questions and accepted cash. Not exactly the Diamond District penthouse, but it had something that apartment lacked. It was hers. Her choice. Her space. You know, when most people break up with a mob boss, they leave the state, maybe the country. Rosa sat on the sagging mattress, looking around the room with professional assessment. You drove 40 minutes and checked into a place with bed bugs. Bold strategy. I didn't break up with him. I asked for space. Lily was folding baby clothes, tiny onesies and socks that seemed impossibly small. She'd been buying them slowly, secretly, preparing for a future she couldn't quite envision. There's a difference. Yeah? Tell that to Dom. Man's been chain-smoking on the penthouse balcony for 3 days. Hasn't slept. Barely eating. It's very dramatic. Very Italian. I'd be impressed if it wasn't so pathetic. Despite everything, Lily smiled. He doesn't smoke. He does now. Picked it up approximately 4 hours after you left. Pack-a-day habit at this rate. Rosa stood, moved to the window. Look, I'm not here to drag you back. That's not my job. My job is to make sure you're safe. Which you're not, by the way. This place has 1 exit, no security, and walls thin enough to hear the couple next door arguing about who forgot to buy milk. I can take care of myself. Can you? Rosa's voice was gentle but firm. Because 3 people know you're here. Me, you, and whoever you told. And in about 6 hours, when word gets out that Dominic Castellano's baby mama left him, Every rival he's ever made is going to start asking questions. Questions like, where is she? And how much would she be worth as leverage? The words were meant to scare her. They succeeded. I didn't think, Lily started. No, you didn't. Because you're thinking like a normal person. But you're not normal anymore. The second Dom claimed that baby publicly, you became a target, a valuable one. And targets don't get to check into roadside motels and pretend they're just regular pregnant ladies figuring out their lives. Lily sank onto the bed, the weight of it all pressing down like gravity had doubled. So what do I do? Go back? Let him control everything? Or you control something? Rosa pulled out her phone, showed Lily a document. Dom's lawyers drew this up. Partnership agreement. 50-50 split on decisions regarding you and the baby. Binding arbitration if you disagree. Separate residences if you want. He'll provide security either way. And this, she scrolled down. A trust fund in your name. $10 million. Can't be touched by him, only you. Use it however you want. Leave tomorrow if that's what you decide. But you'll have resources. Options. Lily stared at the screen, trying to process. He did this? After you left. Apparently your little speech about partnership hit home. Or maybe he's just terrified you'll disappear and he'll never meet his son. Either way, the offer's real. His lawyers are ready to execute whenever you say the word. What if I say no? What if I take the money and run? Rosa's smile was sad. Then he'll let you go. He'll make sure you're protected from a distance. He'll set up a security detail you'll never see. And he'll spend the rest of his life wondering what his kid looks like. But he won't stop you. That's not who he is anymore. You changed him whether you see it or not. The motel room suddenly felt very small, very temporary. A place between one life and another, neither fully left nor fully begun. I need to think, Lily said. You've got until morning. After that, I'm moving you somewhere secure regardless. Dom's orders, but also my professional recommendation. Rosa headed for the door, paused. For what it's worth, I've worked for a lot of powerful men. Most of them see women as accessories, trophies, things to own. Dom sees you as, I don't know, an equal he doesn't quite know how to handle. That's rare. Maybe worth fighting for. The thing about pivotal decisions is they rarely happen in dramatic moments. No swelling music. No perfect clarity. Usually they happen at 3 a.m. in a motel room that smells like cigarettes and desperation, while a baby kicks inside you and the rest of your life hangs in the balance. Lily signed the papers at dawn. Rosa witnessed, then made a phone call that lasted exactly 10 seconds. She's ready. Dominic arrived 30 minutes later, looking like he'd aged 5 years and 3 days. Stubble on his jaw, shadows under his eyes. The man who'd faced down Victoria Ashford without breaking a sweat looked absolutely wrecked. Hi, he said, eloquent as always under pressure. Hi yourself. Lily gestured to the papers on the dresser. I signed. But I have conditions. Anything. Don't say that until you've heard them. She took a breath. First, I'm not moving back into the penthouse. I need my own space. Somewhere you don't own, don't control, don't have keys to without permission. He nodded, jaw tight but accepting. Second, therapy, both of us, together. Because if we're doing this, raising a child, building something that isn't just protection and possession, we need to learn how to actually communicate. I'll find someone discreet. Someone good, not someone who'll tell you what you want to hear. She moved closer, one hand on her stomach where their son was sleeping. Third, and this is non-negotiable, you don't make decisions about my life without me. Not about where I live, who I see, what I do. We discuss, we compromise, we're partners or we're nothing. Partners, he repeated, like he was learning a new language. Okay, yes, partners. And fourth, she paused, gathering courage. You tell me the truth. About everything. What you do, who you are, the parts you think I can't handle. Because I'm choosing this. Choosing you. But I need to know what I'm choosing. Dominic was quiet for a long moment, his eyes searching hers. Some of it's ugly. Really ugly. Things that'll keep you up at night. I'm already up at night. Might as well know why. He almost smiled at that. Almost. I run this city, not officially, there are mayors and governors for that. But the real power, the decisions that matter, those go through me. I control shipping, construction, waste management. I have judges, cops, politicians on my payroll. I've ordered He stopped, seemed to decide something. I've ordered 12 people killed in the last 5 years. Not directly. I don't pull triggers, but the order came from me. Lily's stomach churned, but she didn't look away. Were they innocent? No. They were rivals, traitors, people who hurt my people. But innocent? That's a flexible word in my world. And the future? Our son's future? What does that look like? I want him out of this life. The words came fast, urgent. I want him to have choices I never had. College, career, normal life. I've already set up trusts, legitimate businesses that'll be his when he's old enough. Clean money, legal operations. He never has to know. He stopped. But that only works if you're with me, if you help me raise him right. Because left to my own devices, I'll turn him into another me, and that's the last thing I want. Lily studied his face. This man who was offering her the world while admitting he didn't know how to build the one she actually wanted. This man who'd protected her but couldn't promise he wouldn't hurt her. This man who loved her in the only way he knew how, fiercely, possessively, completely. Smart girl, stupid decision, but hers to make. Okay, she said. Okay? Okay, we try. Partners, therapy, truth, all of it. We try and we see what happens. She moved into his arms, feeling them close around her with careful reverence. But Dominic, if you ever make me feel like property again, if you ever take my choices away, I'm gone. Money, security, love, none of it will matter. We clear? Crystal. He kissed her forehead, her cheek, finally her mouth. I'll screw this up, probably often. But I'll try. That's all I can promise. That's all I'm asking. 6 months later, their son was born. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. His father's dark eyes, his mother's stubborn chin. They named him James. No family name, no tradition. Just a fresh start. The apartment Lily chose was in Brooklyn, walking distance to the park. Dominic visited daily but kept his own place. They attended therapy every Thursday with Dr. Sarah Chen, who didn't flinch when they explained their situation and only raised her eyebrows once when Dominic mentioned his occupation. Victoria Ashford sent a baby gift from Monaco, expensive, tasteful, and absolutely soaked in guilt. Lily donated it to charity. Catherine Sterling disappeared to Singapore, Sarah Bennett to London, Michelle Crawford to Sydney. 4 women scattered across the globe, living in luxury but living in exile. Rosa became James's godmother and taught him to swear in 3 languages before he could walk. And Lily? She went back to school. Art degree, finally. Dominic paid the tuition without being asked, then stepped back and let her build her own life within their complicated arrangement. Was it perfect? Hell no. Was it healthy by normal standards? Absolutely not. But it was theirs. Built on truth and compromise and the understanding that love wasn't ownership, it was choice. And every day, they chose each other. Even on the days when that choice was hard. Especially on those days. Because that's what partnerships were. What love was. Not perfect, not easy, but real. And real was enough.